Hi there, this is Professor Eckhouse, and I am going to talk about plotting lines on the rectangular coordinate system. So we're going to start by looking at the intercepts on the graph of a line. What do we mean by that? Each of the points at which a line crosses the x-axis and the y-axis is called an intercept. So where it crosses the x-axis is called the x-intercept, and where it crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. All right, so looking at this, what is the x-intercept and what is the y-intercept? So the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, right there, 3, 0. And the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, 0, 6. So we're going to keep track of this. We've got 3, 0 for graph A is where it crosses the x-axis, and it crossed the y-axis at 0, 6. So that was graph A. Now see if you can find the 2 points for graph B. Now this is 3x minus 4y equals 12. That's what this line is. So we've got 4, 0 and 0, negative 3. So 4, 0 is on the x-axis, 4, 0, and 0, negative 3. Okay, so we've got 4, 0 is where it crosses the x-axis, so that is the x-intercept. 0, 3, and the pink one is where it crosses the y-axis. That's the y-intercept. Notice if we've got 2 points, we can draw a line. All we really need is 2 points. We usually do more than 2 just in case we messed one of them up. But everything that comes from this equation right here should make any point on this true. So you could find any point along this line and it will make this true. All right, so let's look at C. So find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So where does it cross the x-axis? And that is at 5, 0. So we'll put that there for C, graph C. And where does it cross the y-axis? At 0, negative 5. Okay. So now you take a moment and think about D. All right, so hopefully you see that there's only one intercept. This is y equals negative 2x. That's what this graph is right here. And it crosses the x-axis at 0, 0. It crosses the y-axis at 0, 0. Okay, so both intercepts are considered the same point, 0, 0. Now I want you to look at what's going on, and we talked about this in the last video. But where it crosses the x-axis, the y value is 0 every time. And where it crosses the y-axis, the x value is 0 every time. All right, so the x-intercept is, and we use just an A, is the point A, some number, 0. So A just represents some number. But a 0 is the second value, the y value. It's where it crosses, the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. The x-intercept then occurs where y is 0. All right, the y-intercept is the point 0b. And you know what? I'm just looking up at this A. It looks like a 9, so I'm going to fix it. It should be an A, not a 9. All right, the y-intercept is the point 0b, where the graph crosses the y-intercept, the y-axis. The y-intercept crosses the y-axis, and the y-intercept occurs where x is 0. Okay, so find the x and y-intercepts of each line. So pause the video for each of these and really do give them a try. All right, so the x-intercept happens here at 6, 0. And the y-intercept happens here on the y-axis, and that is 0, 4. All right, next one. Try this one. All right, so the x-intercept is here, and the y-intercept is here. And those points are 5, 0, That's the x-intercept. And the y-intercept is 0, negative 3. Okay, try this one. All right, the x-intercept is over here on the negative side. So its value is negative 4, 0. So be careful. If you said 0, negative 4, you would be talking about this point down here. Totally different point. All right, the y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 2. All right, what about this one? All right, it only crosses the x-axis and the y-axis in the same place. So the x-intercept is 0, 0, and so is the y-intercept, 0, 0. So when it crosses the origin, there's only one, there's a shared x and y-intercept. It's the only time that will ever happen. All right, so finding intercepts from an equation. So this is less visual, more algebra. So we're going to use the equation to find the x-intercept of the line. We let y equal 0 and solve for x. If we're going to find the y-intercept of the line, we let x equal 0 and solve for y. So we would make a little table as shown here. And we did this a little bit in the last video, but you're just finding 2 points, right? X, y. And if y is 0 here, then you have to find what x is. Then you plug in a second time, you do it twice, plug in 0 for x, and you find what y would be. And then you'll have the points a, 0, 0b, or whatever you want to call your unknowns. I called them a and b, doesn't really matter. All right, so let's find the intercepts of 2x plus y equals 8. So how are we going to do this? Well, to find the y-intercept, that is where what equals 0? The y-intercept is where x equals 0. So we're going to set up an equation where x is going to have a 0 plugged in, and we're going to solve for y. So remember, we solved for the other one. So we're going to put 0 in here, x equals 0, and y we have to solve for it. So I'm going to highlight it so we remember that's what we're solving for. All right, so this goes away. It becomes 0, or you can just cross it out, either one. 0 plus y equals 8, so of course y equals 8. All right, so now what are you going to do with this? The y-intercept is where x equals 0. So we're going to come up here and say, well, x equals 0, and we found out that y was 8. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 8, right? That's the y-intercept. All right, so what about where the x-intercept happens, where the y equals 0? So let's set up the same equation, 2x plus y equals 8, but we're going to put 0 in for y. Okay, so we're going to put that 0 in. All right, so 2x plus 0 equals 8, so we'll just say 2x equals 8. And we're going to divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 4. All right, so when y is 0, x equals 4, when y equals 0, because we plugged in 0 for y. So x equals 4, y equals 0. So our point is 4, 0, and that is our x-intercept. Okay, so try this again. You try it this time. Pause the video and do it all by yourself. Okay, so find the intercepts of this equation, 2x plus 10y equals 10. So find the y-intercept. That happens where x equals 0. X equals 0. So we're going to have this one, x equals 0. We're going to have to find y. Okay, so let's set up an equation, 2x plus 10y equals 10. But x equals 0, so we're going to put 0 in for the x value, and we're going to solve for y. So this just goes away because it's 0 plus, so 0 plus doesn't need to be written. So we've got 10y equals 10. And of course you could say 0 plus right there, but you know, you don't need to. So now we're going to divide both sides by 10, and we get that y equals 10 over 10 is 1. In other words, 10 times what equals 10? So y equals 1. So y is 1, this point is 0, 1. And that is our y-intercept. All right, so the x-intercept happens where y equals 0. So we're going to set up the same equation, except this time we're going to leave a space for the y. And we're going to plug in a 0. So we get 2x plus 0 equals 10. So let's write it as 2x equals 10, because this is just the 0, right? 10 times 0 is 0. 2x equals 10, divide both sides by 2, or just think 2 times what equals 10? 2 times 5, so x equals 5. Or just divide both sides by 2. All right, so x equals 5 when y equals 0. Just make sure that's really clear. That's what we're doing here. And for the other one, I'll say that for this one as well. Y equals 1 when x equals 0. All right, so we got y was 0. Change to green. Y is 0, and when so x equals 5. So we plug in 0, we find the x, and we find that it's 5. So this point is 5, 0. And think about which is which. The blue one, the top one, is the y-intercept, and the green one is the x-intercept. All right, let's try another. We're going to graph a line using intercepts, using that same technique. So here's the steps. Find the intercepts and write as an ordered pair. And we do that by letting y equal 0 and solving for x like we just did, and then letting x equal 0 and solve for y. Then we'll find a third solution just so we have one more point, and then plot the 3 points and make sure they line up. Then we'll draw a line through the 3 points. All right, so graph x minus 2y equals 4 using intercepts and one more point. All right, so let's do intercepts. I'll just do this. I'm going to put our zeros in and say, well, I'm going to do the first one with x equals 0. So I get x minus 2y equals 4. X is 0. Minus 2y equals 4. So negative 2y equals 4. Divide by negative 2. And I get y equals negative 2. So y equals negative 2 and x equals 0. So that is the point 0, negative 2. So let's graph that. 0, negative 2 is right here. All right, so let's try another one. We're going to do this when y equals 0. So I've got x minus 2 times y is going to be 0, equals 4. Well, this whole thing is just going to be minus 0. I can write it if I want to. X minus 0 equals 4. Well, x minus nothing equals 4, so that means x equals 4. Or you can just take it out, whichever way you prefer. All right, so now we've got x equals 4 when y equals 0. So our point is 4, 0. So 4, 0 is right here. All right, what other point could we plug into this? I don't know. Let's try y equals, I'm trying to find something nice and tidy. Ones often work pretty well. I'm trying to find something that will make it work out nicely. So x minus 2y equals 4. So just pick up something for one of them. It doesn't matter which one, and plug it in and find the other one. So you're going to pick an x or pick a y. When it's set up in standard form like this, it's a little hard to decide sometimes. So I'm going to make x equal to 2. Okay, so it's in between the two that we have. Or I can make it on the outside. I can make it somewhere over here, like over in that area or that area. But I'm just going to, I don't know, I guess I'll pick one outside. I'll pick a 6 right here, that 6. So we're going to find where it crosses, what the y value is. Whoops, what the y value is when we have x is 6. So I'm stumbling a little bit, aren't I? All right, so 6. So I'm going to do x equals 6. I'm going to find y equals question mark. All right, 6 minus 2 times y equals 4. All right, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And I get negative 2y equals 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 2. And I get y equals 1. doesn't seem quite right, does it? So it would be right there. Well, maybe it is. I guess that's okay. I guess that works. All right, so I totally winged it on that last one because I didn't work out a third point ahead of time. All right, so it's all in a line. Looks pretty good. All right, so the last point, let's put it on the table. The last one, we plugged in 6 for x, and for y, we got 1. So our point was 6, 1. Okay, so you try one, use the intercepts, and then find a point, another point that you think might be on the line by choosing just an x or a y, and see what you get for the other one. Okay, so I'm going to do x is 0, and then I'll come back and do y is 0, and then I'll pick a point for the third point. All right, so we're going to do 2 times 0 minus 3y equals negative 6. So this goes away. Negative 3y equals negative 6. Divide by negative 3, and I get y equals 2. Okay, so y equals 2 when x equals 0. That is the point 0, 2. Okay, 0, 2 is right there. All right, second point. We're going to do 0 for y. So I've got 2x minus 3 times 0 equals negative 6. So that one goes away, and I get 2x equals negative 6. Divide by 2, and I get x equals negative 3. So my point is negative 3, 0. Negative 3, 0. All right, so I go over to negative 3, and that's at 0 right there. All right, so let's pick one more point. Again, I didn't think about it ahead of time because I'm just going to wing it with you. So we've got 2x minus 3y equals negative 6. I can pick any point I want. It does not matter. So let's pick a negative point this time. So let's just choose an x over here and see where the y lands, see where our point's going to be. Hopefully, right? Hopefully we do it right. We end up down in here somewhere, because that maybe over here somewhere, because that looks like the direction the line is going. Okay. All right. So let's choose, I don't know, how about negative 6 for the x value, right? So we'll do negative 6. So we've got 2 times negative 6 minus 3y equals negative 6. All right, so I've got negative 12 minus 3y equals negative 6. And I'm going to add 12 to both sides because I'm trying to get y by itself. Negative 3y equals negative 6 plus 12 is 6. Well, look at that. All right, now I'm going to divide by negative 3. And I get y equals negative 2. All right, so my point is negative 6, negative 2. Negative 6, negative 2. All right, so let's try it. Negative 6, negative 2. It's a line. Look at that. Yay. Okay, so we're going to just make, oh, no, I don't want to do that one. We'll do that. So we go like that, and there is our line. All right, so hopefully you're getting the hang of this. Try another one. So this one is just y equals 2x. A little easier, actually. So I'll work this one out with you because using the intercepts is kind of weird with this one. So if x is 0, what is y? Well, y equals 2 times 0. So y equals 0. So it's 0, 0. All right, so you just got to think about this one. There's only going to be one intercept, right? Because we just found it. There's one intercept. So you don't have to plug in 0 for the other one because we already did it, right? So it all happened in one problem. So now that means we're going to have to find 2 more points. All right, so how about if x equals 1? So we've got y equals 2 times 1 equals 2. So y equals 2. So we get 1, 2. All right, let's try another one. I'll do a different color so I can separate these. So let's graph that one. So we've got 1, 2 right there. All right, so let's pick an even bigger number. Let's do like y equals 2 times, I don't know, 4. That's going to be 8. So when I chose 4 for x, so y is 8. So 4, 8. So as you can see, it's just going to be double. It's 2 times. It's going to be double every single time. 4 and then 8 right there. All right, so we end up with a line that looks like that. All right, so these are a little bit more challenging than they look, so I want to talk about these. Graph y equals -3. So what would I do with y equals -3? There's no x to plug in. So what that means is there's no x. There's no x that's never going to cross the x-axis. So it's always going to be y equals 3. So where is it always y equals 3? So y equals 3 is what here, and y equals 3 is here. And it equals y equals 3 here, and y equals 3 here, and y equals 3 over here, and over here, and over here. That means we've got a line, y equals 3. Looks like that. All right, so let me give you a couple more. Where is y equals -2? And where is y equals 7? So pause the video and try that. So y equals -2 is going to be here, -2. That's that right there. And y equals 7 is going to be right up here. Y equals 7. All right, so that means when we have y equals something, we get a horizontal line. Important. Let's look at the other kind of line. So you probably guessed it. The other one was horizontal, but let's think about this one. So x equals -2. There is no y. It means it's never going to cross the y-axis. So x equals -2. So x equals -2 right here, and it equals it right here, and x is -2 there, and it's -2 there and there. So this is a vertical line at x equals -2. So you graph x equals 6 and x equals negative, I don't know, 8. We'll do a different color there. All right, so x equals 6 is right here. X equals 6. Goes on forever, up and down. And x equals -8, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. X equals -8. Okay, so if it's x equals and there's no y, then it is going to be a vertical line. All right, so choosing the most convenient way to graph a line. So far we have picking points, just picking points, and we have a vertical line and a horizontal line, and we have picking intercepts, where we purposefully choose a 0 for x and find y, and then pick a 0 for y and find x. So which ones are the easiest here? Well, for this first one, if we just pick x, pick any x, we just plug it in, it automatically equals y. It makes it really easy. Very, very easy. So pick x and solve for y. And really all you have to do is evaluate, because you're just plugging in a number, multiplying times 2 and adding 1. Okay, so if it's equal to y, it's going to be really easy to just pick an x. Okay, so pick a point. So same thing here, pick x, solve for y. Pick x and solve for y, and you'll have a point. All right, the next one, x equals -7. This is going to be a vertical line at x equals -7. Vertical. Y equals 4 is going to be a horizontal line at y equals 4. That's horizontal line. All right, so these are in standard form. I'm just going to abbreviate standard because I don't have enough room. Standard form. So when they're in standard form, the easiest way to do this is to use intercepts to find 2 points. Right? Use intercepts. And what do I mean by that? To find the x-intercept, you're going to use y equals 0 and then find x. To find the y-intercept, you're going to use x equals 0 and find y. 2 points. Doing them each separately. Okay, so here's another description of what I just said. So you can pause the video and read through that if you would like. All right, so identify the most convenient method to graph each line. Pause the video and try to answer all 4 of these. All right, so the first one is a horizontal line. So you don't have to really do much. You don't have to pick any points or anything like that. It's just a horizontal line at y equals 5. The next one is in standard form. So use intercepts. So like I just said, if you pick an x equals 0, you'll find the y-intercept. And if you choose y equals 0, you will find the x-intercept. All right, x equals -5 is a vertical line at x equals -5. And the next one, you're just going to pick x values and find or solve for y. You can do that once, and then you have found 1 point. Pick a new x value. You found a second point. Do it at least 3 times so you can make sure you haven't made a mistake. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching.